Dark Elf turn 2 starts with a lot of different charges. Firstly, the Hydra moves forward to fight the other ogres that are not in the combat with the warriors. So he charged in, it was successful. Also, the Corsairs and the Cold Ones charge up to fight the ogres. You can see that the Witch Elves are there trying to help, but they didn't make their charge, so they're just kind of hanging out. And then those Lead Belchers didn't fire last turn because they had to reload, but I'm just showing them real quick. So there's this battle between the Cold Ones Corsairs. Here's an overview of the whole map with all three of the battles that are going on right now. We've got the Warriors fighting the Butcher and the remaining Ogre with the Dreadlord, and you'll see that they cut them down to one Ogre and the Butcher. And then we've also got the battle between the Hydra. The Hydra loses. It's completely eliminated with its Beastmasters as well. So it takes out two Ogres in the process of fighting. We'll move over to the other battle with the Corsairs. The Cold Ones and the Corsairs manage to beat the Ogres. They flee with losing, I think, only a couple Corsairs, I think maybe 5. And the Cold Ones run them down. The Corsairs didn't make the catch distance, so they are a little bit farther behind. And then you see that giant sneaking around. And that should be the end of Dark Elf turn 2. Ogre's turn 3 starts with a charge from the giant. It's been expected the whole game. So he charges into the side of the Dreadlord and the Warriors, which are still locked into combat with that Butcher. This group of ogres charges forward into the sorceress, who wasn't in the combat earlier, so she pretty much doesn't stand a chance, but we'll see how that goes. And then the Lead Belchers, who are again going to fire, but this time at the Corsairs, poor guys. So I'm going to lose a couple there. So we'll see that I lose 6 Corsairs in the shooting, maybe 7. The battle between the Warriors, the Giant, and the Butcher. The Dreadlord ended up fleeing at the end of that combat, but you'll see that there's my 3 warriors left plus my assassins still fighting the giant. They killed 1 ogre and put a couple wounds on the Butcher. We'll also see that the other ogres killed my sorceress with no resistance. She died with just the impact hits. Then they overran into my crossbowmen, and you'll see that my Dreadlord is just kind of fleeing there, which is really a bummer. So here's that combat. And then we'll move on to Dark Elf turn 3. At the beginning of Dark Elf turn 3, you'll see that these Cold Ones are turning the corner around the Watchtower. They're coming to try to help out with the crossbowmen. And the crossbowmen are in this combat with the Ogres. The Dreadlord returns to the battle. He's standing right behind there. Now the Giant was doing a jump attack, and he tripped, so he fell over. And the Warriors and the Assassin managed to kill the Butcher. Now we'll get to see that the poor crossbowmen were completely decimated by the Ogres. They only had 2 left, and the only chance of them surviving was to have insane courage, which amazingly they pulled off. I was really excited. I even took a picture of the dice there. So in a twist of fate, these 2 guys survived. The champion and the standard bearer are holding off the ogres on their own. The Witch Elves are doing nothing, as always. And that's the end of Dark Elf turn 3. Beginning of Ogre turn 4, the Lead Belchers charge the Corsairs. With the combat continuing, you'll see that the crossbowmen die and overrun the ogres into my Dreadlord. So the Dreadlord's in a combat with those ogres. The Giant kills the remaining assassin and 2 warriors and moves forward to join the combat with the Dreadlord. So it's pretty overwhelming there. Then the Lead Belchers win the combat against the Corsairs and charge forward, almost hitting the building. So the Corsairs flee, and the Lead Belchers pursued and caught them, so they're all destroyed right there. They lost 2 in the combat, the Lead Belchers did. And that's the end of that combat. So we'll move on to Dark Elf turn 4. Dark Elf turn 4 Starts out pretty good. The cold ones move around farther to the watchtower. They can't make it all the way, so they just move forward. The witch elves move forward, and then bam, they kill the giant. The Reaper Bolt Thrower finally does something in the game and finishes off the remaining wounds in the giant, killing him off. And then this Dreadlord has to hold off the ogres, so they get into a fight. There's a challenge between him and the tyrant. They smash it out, and actually nothing happens. They exchange a wound each, obviously lose combat, but he has Crown of Command, so with his stubborn, he makes his check. You'll see the Witch Elves are lining up against the Lead Belchers, and that was pretty much the entire turn. That Dreadlord's holding on with all his super armor and reverse ward saves, so things were looking good. Ogre turn 5, he turns his Lead Belchers around and fires, and bam, those Witch Elves are gone. They tried really, really hard to get into combat, but they never made it. But at least they went out in a blaze of glory, trying to fight these two guys. The Dreadlord is holding on, and that was pretty much the entire combat. Let's see how the game finishes up here. Is that on the next Dark Elf turn, we have the Cold Ones charging to the back flank of the Ogres. They overrun them, and they win the game. So they kill the final Ogres there. The Lead Belchers obviously survive, but it was the end of the game, so we called it. So it was a Dark Elf victory, close game, great playing. It was a lot of fun to play, and I look forward to doing some more battle reports. But overall, it was a Dark Elf victory, and thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out our other videos. You can subscribe, leave some comments on what you think about the battle. And thank you very much for watching. Again, this is Mark from the Vanguards of Gaming, and have a good one.